All right, so a very warm welcome. This is the allegro.WRITE webinar for our next UK cohort. We're really excited to have a new group of AMWs joining us later this year. So they're going to spend the next hour talking to you about what's going to happen. So we have some of the Allegro team here on the call today. We're going to talk to you about the programme, recruitment, and we have Morgan, who is actually on the programme at the moment. She's going to give you some insights into what life is like in the world of medcoms, and we'll have plenty of time for questions at the end. So you should have a Q&A box open to you, so please do pop questions into that box as we're presenting, and then Matt and I will feed those questions to the team after we've done the presentation part. Okay, so let's make a start. So on the call today from the Allegro team, there's me, I'm Nikki Griffin, the VP and Scientific Lead for Allegro. We've got Matt McGinley, who is our Global Talent Acquisition Lead. We've got Susan Jalisi, who is our Scientific Team Director, Hannah Birchby, who is our Assistant Scientific Programme Director, and as I said, we've got Morgan here as well, who is an Associate Medical Writer, part of our latest cohort of Associate Medical Writers. Okay. So what we're going to cover off is a very brief overview to Inisio Medical. We'll talk to you about the 12-month Allegro Write programme in the UK, and then Matt will talk through the recruitment process and next steps and key dates so you can make a note of them. The recording will be available after the webinar as well on our social media and our website, so everything that we talk to now will be available to you to get to go back and watch again afterwards. Okay, so Inisio Medical, essentially it's a global powerhouse medcoms agency. It's the largest medcoms agency globally, and we're made up of these three agencies that you can see here on the slide. So Ashfield Medcoms, Nucleus Global and Apothecom. All three of these are full service agencies. So what that means is that they do everything in the world of medcoms. So pubs, med affairs, commercial work, patient work, a bit of everything. So they're all full service agencies. We're very lucky at Inisio Medical to actually have Medistrava as well. So Medistrava are a team of specialists who underpin all the work we do across Inisio Medical. So with the four agencies together, we're able to deliver excellence for our clients globally across our business. So alongside that, also we have a huge group of staff. So we have over 2,000 staff globally, around 300 active clients, a whole group of people who work in our teams across lots of different offices across the world. So for Allegro Write in the UK, we're going to recruit into Glasgow, Manchester, London and Macclesfield, but we also have offices globally as well, where we have writers and client services who work there. So by joining Allegro and Inisio Medical, you are joining a really diverse, vast network of people. Okay, so what is medcoms? It's actually quite a hard question to answer. Medcoms encompasses so many different aspects. It's a very exciting industry to be in. If you're the sort of person who's done a science degree, you've worked in academia for a while, you want to get out of the lab, or you want to do something a bit more engaging, medcoms is a brilliant industry to be part of. Medcoms agencies essentially support pharma companies and biotech companies in the communication of complex scientific data. So our job really is to bridge that gap between the scientists and people who are working on drug development, on treatments, and the people who are going to receive those treatments or who are going to prescribe those treatments. So we take all that complex data and information, distill it down and communicate it to patients, payers, specialists, GPs, pharmacists, a whole range of different people, so to different audiences in different ways. And ultimately, our goal is to try and impact the lives of patients in a positive way, ensuring that patients have access to the treatments they need for their disease. So how do we do that? We do that through a variety of different ways. So you can see here, very large numbers. It's a very busy industry. And if you were to join allegro.WRITE, during the first 12 months, we try to get you involved in as many of these different activities and materials as possible. So we try and give you a really good breadth of knowledge, of experience during that first 12 months. So you'd be involved in things like publication plans, medical education projects, some digital projects, advisory boards. You might get involved in on-site activities, so slide presentations, internal meetings. There's a lot of strategy involved, numerous events. So it's non-stop, but it's also very exciting and engaging. There's always something different happening across the teams. Okay, I'm going to hand it over to Hannah, who's going to talk about the Allegro programs.
Thank you, Nikki. So hi, everybody. As you can see on this slide, so we have 3 Allegro programs that we run, and this was really began back in 2017. So the aim was to develop talented people coming into the business, making sure that we investing in their development to make sure we're ultimately delivering excellence for our clients. So before I talk a little bit about the programs, it might be helpful just to note that each of the teams within our medcoms agencies are split up into 2 sides. So there's our medical writing or scientific services side, and then we also have a client services side. Now, allegro.WRITE, which is the sort of OG medical writing training program, so the first in the business, the first in medcoms. So this began back in 2017, like I mentioned, and this is our entry-level medical writing program. And the aim is really to provide individuals with the training and development to support them to get to medical writer at a fast, accelerated pace. So they would join the business as associate medical writers, progressing then to medical writer at the end of the program. And this program is available both in the UK and South Africa. In addition to allegro.WRITE, we have Allegro Drive. So this is the equivalent really for the client services part of the business. So this is when individuals would join as an associate account executive and progress along to an account executive. So the difference there is obviously with the medical writing side of the business and the client services side of the business, each of these programs is just really focused on the key skills to be successful in the relevant roles. And then development doesn't stop there. So after completing one of those programs and spent some time in the business, gaining experience working in your teams, we also have opportunity to be part of Allegro Excel, which is a program for people who have been in the business for a little bit longer in more senior roles and really preparing them for more of a leadership kind of role within the business. And that's, again, a slightly different format, but a mixture of both training and opportunities for learning and networking. And it's really important to note as well, you know, Allegro has been recognised by various awards. We're very proud of this sort of industry leading training programme. And this slide just shows sort of our dedicated Allegro team. So we are dedicated to the development of people who are enrolled in one of our programmes. So you can see in the top left of the slide, we have Neil. So he heads up the Allegro team. We have Nikki on the call. Obviously, she's just introduced and spoken to us about Anisio Medical. So she is a VP and heads up the scientific program, so allegro.WRITE. We have Nikki's counterpart, if you like, Anna, on the client services side. So she leads the delivery of Allegro Drive. And Neil, Nikki and Anna are all based in the Northwest, so around Manchester and Macclesfield, as is Lisa, who makes sure that everything that we're doing, all the programs we're delivering, everything is running smoothly. And we also have Kate and Nicole, you'll see bottom left, but they are both on maternity leave. We have Susan based up in Glasgow, and together with Susan, we primarily support Nikki with the delivery of the medical writing side of things and the programs, but we also support the team as a whole. We also have Matt, who's based in London, and as Nikki mentioned, he really drives all the recruitment across all of the Allegro programs, and he's going to talk a little bit about the recruitment process a little bit later on. Thanks, Nikki. And Allegro is really part of, and obviously Anisio Medical. We have a really great culture here. So it's not all about work. We like to socialise. We like to get to know each other, to obviously build those relationships outside of work. So at Anisio, we have a lot of social events. So individual offices have their own events. These might be sporting things, they might be, you know, going out for drinks, things like that. But we also have larger events, things like sports days in the summer, you know, Christmas parties. You know, we like to get together, we like to have fun and get to know each other. We are also dedicated to things like sustainability, really important. We have a lot of people in the business who are passionate about that. And, you know, for example, we have offices that are single-use plastic free. We have our sustainability pledges. Our 2024 sustainability report is now available on our website if you would want to find out more information about that. We also like to give back to the community. So we have community action days, and these are days within the year that we sort of put aside and dedicate to working within our community. So people volunteer for charities, or they might volunteer at food banks, things like that, something that they're passionate about, you know, outside of work, to try and give back. And we also really recognise the importance of, you know, diversity, equality and inclusion. So again, we hold ourselves accountable for this. We recognise the strength in differences between people, you know, differences in experiences and backgrounds, and what that brings to the company. Again, there's a lot more about our commitment to diversity, equality and inclusion on the website. So please do have a look if you're interested in that. I'm going to hand over to Susan now to chat a little bit about the allegro.WRITE programme.
Thanks, Hannah, and hi everybody. So yeah, I'll just give you a little bit more information on the role of a medical writer, and specifically a bit more about the allegro.WRITE programme. So firstly, medical writers. So medical writers, they're really the creators, right? So medical writers are responsible for developing high quality, engaging and creative content that is aligned with the strategic objectives of our clients, and that's also appropriate for a variety of different audiences and different formats. Medical writers are also first-class communicators, so they have to work confidently and effectively with their teams, as well as clients and healthcare professionals, to deliver this scientific content. So they're key in the planning and delivery of projects that help to educate on, inform and inspire best healthcare practice. So the allegro.WRITE programme basically sets individuals up to carry out this role as medical writer. So it focuses on providing skills in writing, communication, project management and teamwork. Now, working as sort of a collaborative and diverse environment, the programme really allows individuals to gain confidence and ability to carry out the role, whilst also developing a network of contacts, okay? So through the programme, will give you the skills to sort of carry out the role as a medical writer. Now, Morgan is going to give us a little bit more information about what medical writers do on sort of a daily basis, but sort of bigger picture, as a medical writer, you'd be delivering insightful, engaging and scientifically accurate content. As I mentioned, that's across a variety of different formats, some of them Nikki mentioned earlier. You would also be working in a fast-paced environment and juggling lots of different projects and different priorities all at once. You'll also liaise with other teams within the business, so predominantly the client services teams as well as others, to ensure that we have open communication and that we work together to really deliver an excellent service for our clients. So it's a real team-focused role and industry. You'll also be effectively leading projects, confidently communicating with clients and healthcare professionals to, as I mentioned, inform strategy and really shape the future of healthcare and medical communications. And as a medical writer, you might also be involved in obtaining new business, whether that's being involved in work with new clients, or also engaging with existing clients regarding their strategy and potential new projects, ways that we can help them. So through the programme, the allegro.WRITE programme is how we sort of set you up for success as a medical writer. It's an accelerated 12-month programme, okay? So we bring individuals in at entry level, so they come in as associate medical writers, and the first 6 weeks of the programme is a dedicated training phase. And during this training phase, we have experienced and supportive trainers from across the business who will help to build your confidence in the core writing competencies as well as business skills in what we call a safe learning environment, right? It's in a training environment. This training is conducted both face-to-face and virtually across our local offices. During that training phase, you'll be supported by the Allegro team, so they'll manage you and work with you throughout your sort of development. After that 6-week training phase, we move into a rotation phase. And this is where the associate medical writers are placed within the agencies, within teams, where they'll work alongside industry leading experts on real life medcoms projects, okay? And what this rotation phase allows is it really provides the opportunity to solidify those skills that individuals develop during the training phase, as well as broaden their knowledge and experience and expand their networks across the business. During that rotation phase, you're still supported by the Allegro team, but you'll also have dedicated support from a line manager, a buddy who's someone who's been through the programme before, as well as a development team and their experienced line managers from across the business. So you're really well supported throughout that rotation phase. And then ultimately, at the end of the 12 months, the goal is that fast track to medical writer level. So I'll just finish here by talking about the core training areas in the allegro.WRITE programme. So the key areas that we would train you on in that training phase. These include the fundamentals of writing, of course, very important. So this would include things like storytelling, as well as grammar and punctuation. We also train you on planning and delivering content. So that includes materials, publication materials, as well as what we call medical affairs or medical education projects. We'll also provide training in communicating confidently and effectively, as well as integrating into a team and training on sort of proactivity and project management. There'll also be training on just understanding the business of medcoms and the industry, as well as the pharmaceutical industry. And then we provide complementary training on things like PowerPoint, pitching, and presenting. So really, no matter what sort of your experience or the skills you have coming into the allegro.WRITE programme, we really ensure that we provide you with the core skills that you would need to conduct the role as a medical writer. So that's a whistle-stop tour of the programme. We can obviously take more questions about it at the end, but I'll pass over to Matt to talk you through the recruitment process.
Thanks, Susan, and hi, everyone. After having heard all this wonderful stuff about Inisio Medical and Allegro, I'm sure you're itching to find out how you can get involved, and I'm here to tell you. So in terms of the recruitment process, as you might expect for a program like allegro.WRITE, which is so thorough and comprehensive, our recruitment process is similarly thorough and comprehensive. So when you first apply, I will review your CV and we will select certain people to move forward to the first stage, which is going to be a writing test. Following I should say, it's a timed writing assessment. You do it in your own time. We'll agree a time and date at which you'll take the test and go from there. Takes 3 hours to complete. Folks who pass the test are invited to a screening call with either me or another member of the recruitment team. Next, after that, we do a round of virtual video interviews, which are mostly competency focused. Then we'll narrow it down to a select group of candidates who will attend an in-person assessment centre at our office in Macclesfield. We'll show you the dates shortly. After that, we will make job offers. We have lots of roles available, and for anyone who's unsuccessful after the assessment centre, you'll be offered a chance to have an individual feedback call. I think this is a fairly unique thing we do here, where if you haven't been successful, we'll take the time to meet with you and explain exactly sort of what didn't go so well, what could be improved next time around. And indeed, we've had people who maybe haven't been successful first time around, but come back and sort of do well second time around. So we invest as much time as we can in making sure that that we give you guys feedback that you can go away and action and improve in the future. So how to stand out? Fair to say we get a lot of applicants to our Allegro programs, and so one of the things you'll need to do as a candidate is find ways to grab our attention and ensure that you move forwards with the process. The first thing that you should do is just make sure your CV is well presented, especially with medical writing roles. One of the key skills for being a medical writer is having great attention to detail, and so that means you need to ensure there are no typos on your CV and you use consistent formatting across your CV and your cover letter. Speaking of your cover letter, it's definitely a good idea to tailor the cover letter to the role you're applying to. I know that that's advice you guys have probably heard previously, but it's fair to say we get a lot of people apply who will have, you know, the wrong company name or the wrong job role on their cover letter because they didn't change it in time. So definitely make sure that that is all in tip-top position. We also want to know why you're interested in the job. So be that in a little personal statement at the top of your CV or within the body of your cover letter. We want to hear that you have thought about why you want to be a medical writer and why you're well suited to this particular role. Make sure you align your skills with the job description for the role. Presumably, because you're here right now, you've seen the job advert for the role. Have a look at that job advert and look at the skills that we're looking for as a company and try to highlight those on your CV. That demonstrates to us that you've really thought about what you can bring to this role. When we get to the writing test, and you know, indeed there are a couple of tests that you'll do throughout the process, make sure you read the briefs thoroughly. Our team actually write really detailed briefs that are easy to understand, but you know, within the brief it will tell you exactly what we're looking for, and so yeah, make sure you read the brief thoroughly and hit the mark in terms of what the assessors here are looking for. Lastly, we use competency interviews using the STAR framework. So if you're not familiar with STAR, definitely recommend having a look into that. Now, what are we looking for? At a very base level, we will only move forward to people with a 2-1 or above in a life sciences degree or a related area. We're looking for people who have great attention to detail, as we mentioned. I mean, this is definitely a fast-paced working environment here. So we're looking for people who are going to fit that environment, who are going to enjoy the challenge of working in a fast-paced, deadline-driven position. People who are solutions-focused, because sometimes in medcoms you can end up in situations where there's not an immediate solution to the problem. You've got to think creatively about how you can deal with what's in front of you. And yeah, just a passion for science. I mean, this is a role, you know, it's not easy to get a job as a medical writer, and so I think, you know, we're always looking for people who just bring a lot of passion and enthusiasm to their application, to the recruitment process, so they can carry that through into a role with us. So key dates for your diary. So I should mention that we are reviewing applications at the moment. So if you've applied, you should hear back soon. And as I mentioned, the first stages are going to be the writing test and the screening call. Once we've got through those, we'll hold the virtual interviews, the competency-based interviews in the first week of June. And then the assessment centre will be in the middle of June, 18th and 19th in Macclesfield. And then the start date for successful candidates will be the 21st of July. Now, I'm going to hand over to Morgan, who is a real-life medical writer who went through this process not all that long ago.
Thanks, Matt. Hi, everyone. Yeah, I'm going to explain my journey into medcoms and give you a few hints and tips about being a medical writer. So, I did a biology degree, a bachelor's, between 2017 and 2020. I finished and graduated in lockdown. And I decided that I would like to try a career in policing. So I did a graduate programme with the police for 4 years. And then I thought maybe I should use that degree and put it to use. I've spent a lot of money on it. So I actually learned about the allegro.WRITE programme from somebody who had already previously done it and was in the business. So I decided to give that a go and was successful in my application. So I did that in June 2024 between my, so I did the 1.5 months of training, and then I moved on to associate medical writer, and I've been in the business from then onwards. So at the moment I'm at associate medical writer level, and I'm hoping in June 2025 to progress to medical writer. So I'm going to teach you a bit about a day in the life of a medical writer. So as you'd expect, a big portion of that is writing. So if you don't like writing, this is not the job for you. So you engage in numerous activities in a typical day as a medical writer. So writing is the key one, including developing content, editing, reviewing and incorporating feedback, thinking strategically and considering the audience. Then another big part is research. So you have to spend sufficient time researching all your content to make sure that it's accurate and up to date. and you also have to substantiate everything with references. So I spend a lot of time reading around the subject to ensure that I'm writing at a high level and making sure that everything is accurate. Then a large part is quality assurance. So we are fact checking everything that we do to ensure that we are producing the most high quality information and work for our clients. It's also very easy to pick up minor errors when you're reading through large tables of data. So one error might completely change the message of the deliverable that you're producing. So it's very important to have a good attention to detail. Looking at everything with a fresh pair of eyes is always a good way of ensuring no mistakes are introduced. So we also usually check each other's work, which is a good way to ensure quality is controlled. And then everything in medical writer role is very dynamic. So time management and project management is a key skill that we'll be using as a medical writer. You'll often be working on several tasks at once and different projects, and that will mean that you're going to have to manage your time between each one to ensure that they're delivered on time for the clients. It's also about strategy. So each deliverable is not an independent project, but rather it's a component contributing to the client's overarching message. So understanding our clients' key messages and tailoring our projects to that is very important. Don't worry about these parts too much. You won't be managing everything by yourself. You'll be part of a team working together to create these deliverables for a client. An important part of medical writing is also to be engaging in both team and client meetings. So effective communication skills are really important, and also prioritization skills are pivotal. On a daily basis, you'll be engaging with the studio teams, editorial teams, client service teams, and of course the clients themselves. And you'll develop these skills individually throughout the Allegro programme, but as you're placed on your rotations, these should all work in synergy. So what do we write? We do a bunch of materials as a medical writer. So the thing that you're probably thinking is most relevant is manuscripts, so research and review articles. This is a large part on publications accounts. So we are responsible for developing these for clients, but we also write abstracts for scientific congresses for clients. We are note takers as well. This can be for internal meetings, external meetings, advisory boards, and also steering committees. We also do presentations in our medical affairs side. So we do things like slide decks for speakers at congresses. We do poster presentations, and also we can write scripts for events as well. We also do training materials. So we do things like educational slide decks to be used both internally for the clients, and also they can send these out externally as well. And we also develop infographics for our clients. And then also we develop commercial materials. So we can even be in charge of designing the booth backgrounds and the layouts for congresses as well. So some top tips to prepare for the interview process. So read up and understand clinical trial papers. So that includes generic definitions that are often used in clinical trial papers. These will be important, and you'll use these throughout your time as a medical writer. Understand the drug development and clinical trial process. There are lots of different phases in clinical trial processes, and these will be important, especially with developing manuscripts, but also to look into things like endpoints and inclusion and exclusion criteria, which are relevant to scientific studies. As we've spoken about before, interrogate the brief, rewrite it, highlight it, underline it, and review it once you're done. It'll have all the information that you need. Be creative and tell a story with a beginning, middle, and end. This is how we engage people to read our materials, and it is really important. And also be authentic, show enthusiasm, talk about your hobbies. We're really interested in what you do outside of work, and also ask questions. This is really important. If as much as we're interviewing you about the role, you also need to know whether it's a role that suits you. So ask anything that you're unsure about. And good luck.
Great. Well, thanks, Morgan, and thanks everyone, all of the speakers and you guys for attending. Yeah, we want to hear from you. If you haven't applied already, then the place to go is to LinkedIn. You'll see our LinkedIn page there. Just search for Associate Medical Writer on LinkedIn. Our adverts should come up. We're advertising very heavily at the moment. Also on our LinkedIn, you'll find just a lot of general information about our programs, you know, what the training's like, lots of wonderful content up there. You can find out more about us on our website, including previous webinar recordings and testimonials from people who've been through the programs. And that email address there, that comes through to me. So if you've got any specific questions, then I mean, obviously we're here for the Q&A, but if you want to follow up with me one-on-one afterwards, you can feel free to do that there. And there's a handy QR code if you want to just use that. Why not? Great. So we're going to cut the recording now and hand it over to Q&A.